Well, thank you so much for joining me, Robin. It's good to see you. It's been about a year since I've seen you last, maybe a little less than a year because the conference. I can't remember what exactly when Expression Engine conference was last year, but it's been about a year. So it's really great to see you. I would wager, Robin, that if you were to go back into the history of the bug reports and that you would be one of the first people that I interacted with in the community.
I'd say that's a safe bet. Me or Derek?
I think it was you. I have the most strong memories of interacting with you in the bug reports. So you've been with Ellis Lab for a while. How long has it been now?
I don't even know. Over 10 years full time, and before that, quite a few part time.
Yeah. So for
when
those
it was P Machine.
Yeah, for P Machine. So that was before I was in the community for sure. And yeah, so boy, P Machine. What do you? I never used P Machine. What was that like? I don't remember much about P Machine. It didn't have custom fields, did it? It had like 4 fields, and that was about it.
It was much more limited, but you can, looking back, see the idea.
Yeah.
EE1 really ran with it, and I mean, for a while both were going, but nobody was using P Machine because EE was just it was the realization of the idea.
Yeah. So it was. Was that back in the very early 2000s? So I guess the WordPress would have been the up-and-coming competitor at that time. Or WordPress even, I think, was later than that. So
they were coming out. What was the WordPress BB something?
Oh, I don't see. I was just getting into the scene back in those days, so I don't know.
How can you say that? You're like, well, I was 12, Robin, so I don't know.
I wasn't 12, but I was probably in my. I know I was in my early 20s. So, I was just coming onto the scene and just trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life. So those were, and I inherited this website from a film company. I'd never done web development before, and somebody built it in Expression Engine 1, and I had some support requests, and I submitted some support requests, and there you were. You came in, and I don't remember what it was, but I'm pretty sure you saved the day. So. So it is.
They're coming back too, and we're getting people on them again because we went so private for so long, and now.
Yeah.
We're hitting them again.
So last year, Expression Engine went open source, and I imagine that's changed the way in some ways that you work in some ways, or maybe not.
It's reduced a lot of the things I didn't like, which was mucking with licenses and just people like, oh, here's my license now. I'm like, nobody cares.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Go for it. You're solid. Go for it. MSM. Use MSM because you want to, not to save money.
Yes. There's definitely. I inherited some sites, Robin, at various times that had MSM that shouldn't have been MSM. Probably because it was cheaper to license multiple sites through MSM, I would imagine.
Not much. That's what I told people. It's like, use MSM because it will save you time. Because ultimately, the difference was what, maybe $100,
maybe something like that. It should be peanuts when you're dealing with work that you're charging people to do in professional web space. But we all know that sometimes clients things are skating by on a low budget. Anyway, I'm reminiscing about Expression Engine with you. So remind me, you gave a workshop last year. Remind me what your topic was on last year, and then we'll talk about this year's topic.
Actually, they were late because last year's really kind of inspired this year's. Last year was really fun. It was really fun and also a little frustrating. It was on using the new fluid fields, which are super awesome.
Yes.
And I adore them. And it was a fun talk, but we had such a range of experience in the workshop. And I probably a third of the people, it was their first EE site. They maybe inherited it. They just, and I thought, these guys really need an introduction to Expression Engine because they were, what's a custom field and everything. And then I had guys who, total pros, built a million, have used fluid field, but, would just like to brush up on their skills and make sure they're not missing anything. And that was very difficult to make sure both of those groups got something out of it. And I will say the pros stepped up and everybody worked together, which actually worked out pretty well. But it inspired me to be, look, we need just an intro. We've gone open source. We're wanting to bring in new people to the community. I came in working on a fan fiction site,
Nice.
We're really open to you don't have to be a professional web developer to jump in and play with this, but there is a learning curve.
Well, I'm sure you know this, Robin. Working on an Expression Engine site is a very different experience from working on a WordPress site. Expression Engine is BYO everything, and WordPress is slap a theme in there.
And I think EE is much easier because if you don't want to just slap a theme in there, good luck.
Well, it is easier once you know what it's about. But so I say that I inherited this website and had never done web development before. But actually, right before that, I had I worked on one WordPress site. And then I didn't understand back in the 2004-05 timeframe what the difference was, or why Expression Engine was so much harder. But then once I actually started, I need to learn how to write HTML if I'm going to build websites, and I need to learn, like, I can't just slap stuff in there. But that was really where I was like, oh, this is very revelatory, because now I write the HTML that I want, and WordPress doesn't, WordPress spits out the HTML that you don't want. Right. So Expression Engine doesn't do any of that, and that's actually much more powerful once you cross a very low threshold.
Yes. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
As soon as you want to change something, Expression Engine starts looking really good.
Yeah. And it really is geared towards, was back in those days geared towards a different audience in a way. And now, WordPress obviously is like, we need to be a CMS and not a blogging platform. Anyway, your theme this year, or your workshop this year, is much more geared, I guess, toward beginners then, and not focusing on fluid really fields, but you're going to be teaching people how to use Expression Engine.
The goal is, and my goals are always lofty.
It's good to have goals.
The goal is, go from nothing to a functioning website by the end of class.
I think that'll be perfect, especially, and this is the reason I mentioned earlier, Expression Engine going open source. Now that Expression Engine is open source, that audience has opened up even more. It's lowered barriers to entry. People maybe, and I know Core was available, but it's still, a paid product is a little different from. I went over to GitHub and downloaded Expression Engine, and now I need to know how to use it. I need to fiddle with it. And so I think, this is going to be a great opportunity for some of maybe the newer folks that we want to welcome into the community.
Anybody just wanting to check it out. And I will say we're using, and I don't know which one yet, but it'll be a Bootstrap open source theme because I can't do HTML to save my life. But yeah, I've got it down to about 2 that I really like, and pretty simple ones. I did go with multi-page. So many of them now are, the infinite scrolling page, which I thought might be kind of fun, but I wanted to play with URLs. So we're going with something with multiple pages for that.
Yeah, I think infinite scrolling is almost a different class. So I think that's the right decision. So I'm glad to hear that. And I think it's just so exciting to see what's going to happen. Like, we're a year in now to this open source thing, and I think we're really, the future, is bright ahead of Expression Engine. So yeah, teaching people to use Expression Engine. That's actually one of my passions. I've talked about it before, but I haven't really, because I have a day job. It's hard for me to do. It's really hard for me to do. But having a workshop like this is going to be great. And I think
workshop is the way to do it.
I think you're a great teacher too.
It's fun. I came out of academia, so it's fun being back in front of a class.
Nice. So that's why that's one of the reasons, aside from your personality, why you're so good at it.
See, you would get an A, TJ, for sucking to the teacher.
I know how this game works. So,
but it's really fun because you do. It's everybody says it, light bulb moments, and I'm hoping we have a lot of light bulb moments when they're like, oh, that's how that works. And once a few things start clicking, it all gets really easy, and you're like, oh, now I get why I should be using this instead of making a single page for every single page of my site.
Oh, yes. I remember those days. I even still, I work on sites that I didn't build, but now I have to continue working on them, and every single page has a template. And you're like, why did you do this? That's not the way this works.
You didn't save any effort here.
Yeah. It's so hard for me to remember, but I do remember struggling, and I came from a non-developer background, right? And I remember struggling with the concept of repeating content, or as we call them in programming, loops. And so, even stuff like that, I think, will be very useful to understand when you do a channel entries open and closing tag, what happens in there, what's going on. And it's repeating content.
So I'm looking really forward to it. I hope we have another really good crew of people new, 1 site, 2 sites, or just making sure their general grasp is good. But
Yeah. Well, I am looking forward to seeing what kind of a crowd we draw, and who wouldn't want to meet Robin?
There we go. I was surprised last year at the number of really newbies for a higher level class. So,
Yeah.
So we're going to accommodate them this time and make sure everybody leaves up to speed and happy. Oh, and that's one other thing we're going to do that I learned from last year, especially because with that crowd, I was wanting people to have a local install and things, and that was very difficult for people. This time they're going to walk in. We're putting up hosted versions. Expression Engine will be installed. We'll have Bootstrap files all up and ready to go. Nothing in it. I want them starting fresh, but everything in place. They don't need FTP. They'll hit the ground running and say, okay, just focus on Expression Engine. Let's not worry with MAMP or local installs or my PHP MyAdmin or any of that stuff. So it really is. It's going to set up, hit the ground running.
Yeah, and that's almost a workshop you could do by itself as local environments, because I remember that was a huge deal too when I was starting. How do you run this thing, and trying to back in the boy, I haven't used MAMP in years, but trying to get MAMP up and running.
I still use it.
Yeah, it's fine, but I'm Docker is the way to go these days.
That's Kevin would like. He was showing me Docker. I'm like, I don't know. It's kind of hard, and also it can be a little slow on Mac sometimes.
It is slower on the Mac than any other platform. There's no question about that. But we're off in the weeds now. We're not talking about that. We're talking about Expression Engine. So.
You don't have to do any of that if you come to this.
That's right. So it sounds like you have something set up, or people are just going to download it and it's going to work. They're
not even going to download. It's going to be just hosted. We're going to stick it on a Nexus server.
You did mention
install for everybody. Yeah.
Nice.
That was really hard for some people. They were supposed to come with it ready to go locally, but if you can't, you can't. And we're not doing that. You're gonna come in. You're gonna sit down. Here's a URL. You're ready to go.
I mean, when I was starting out, you telling me to come prepared with a local environment, even that would have been like, huh?
What's that mean? So. Yeah, I know it was totally unfair for people who were that new. So
nice. So this really is positioning people to take off with Expression Engine when they leave your class.
Hit the ground running. We'd like to make that easier for people in real life too. So
very nice. Well, so tickets to Expression Engine Conference and then tickets to the workshop, which are separate from, they can be separate, or you can buy the whole bundle, or you can buy just one workshop or what have you. But all those options are available at EEConf.com. And so we'd love to see you at Robin's workshop, and I know Robin would love to see you as well.
Very much.
Thanks so much, Robin.
Bye.